Hello and welcome to Dubai Life. Once again, this is Shaban. I still thank you for subscribing, for sharing the videos and giving the videos a thumbs up. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. This video is a continuation of the earlier video on how to become a resident of the United Arab Emirates. So if you watched part 1, yes, this is a continuation, but if you haven't watched part 1, I suggest you also go back to the videos and see what's in part 1. It's easier to come from part 1 and then watch part 2 other than watching part 2 and then part 1, because it's a continuation. So let's continue without wasting any time. Let's start with the conditions for one to become a resident of the United Arab Emirates. Anyone applying for a resident visa in the United Arab Emirates, if you are over the age of 18 years old, then you need to go through a medical check to prove that you're healthy or fit enough to live and work in the United Arab Emirates. The medical examination will include tests for HIV, Hepatitis B and TB. If all is clean, then you'll be allowed to become a resident of the United Arab Emirates. Next condition that is also very common is to pass the police security check or criminal record check. If you pass this, then you can be allowed to become a resident of the United Arab Emirates. If you have some major criminal records, then your application will be rejected. If you have ever been involved in a major fraud, major drug trafficking or human trafficking, any of these major crimes, your validity or your residence visa will be rejected. So that's the major requirements or the major qualifications for one to become a resident in the United Arab Emirates. Validity of a residence visa or period for which one is allowed to live and work in the United Arab Emirates may be 1, 2 or 3 years. There are cases when a company needs someone for only temporary contract for 1 year or 6 months. In this case, they may get a resident visa for only the 6 months or for only 1 year. And after that, they need to get another sponsor to continue. You may have the Emirates ID for 3 years, but your validity for residence is only maybe 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. For investors, they can have up to 5 years residence visa. And there's also a recently introduced 10 years golden visa, which can be awarded by the government for some people under special conditions. You need to qualify for this. It's a special 10 years gold residence visa for those people who have contributed a lot to the development or to achievements of the United Arab Emirates. These are big businessmen, artists, talented people. Those people can get a 10 years golden visa. If you are an expert in any field, like medicine, like astronomy, whatever it is, art, then you can get that 10 years golden visa under certain conditions and goes through approval by the cabinet. Now let us talk about the requirements if you're going to apply for the resident visa. Remember, you can do this on your own, but it's better to get someone who is experienced, someone who's doing it every day. It will be faster, it will be more convenient. Well, it will come at a cost, but it will save you a lot of time, a lot of inconvenience, it will be easier. I mean, if you pay for it, it will be easier for you. But if you know you can do it or you've done it before, then go ahead and do it again for yourself. 1, you need recently taken passport size photos with white background, and according to the UAE passport size standards. You may get this from any studio. They'll know the standards that is required by the UAE. If you're out of the UAE, you can check on the website which standards are required. You need an entry permit. Remember, I mentioned in the first video, part 1, that you cannot apply for a resident visa if you're out of the United Arab Emirates. So first you need to get an entry visa, maybe a visit visa or employment visa, and then you can process the resident visa. You will need a valid passport. This passport is a travel document and it's also holding your identity. The new visas will not be a sticker in the passport. However, even to make the Emirates ID that will have your resident visa information, you need to have a copy of your passport. So you won't have to hand over the passport, but you need a copy of the passport, a valid passport. You can get a UAE visa application form online, and the website is just below here, and also I'll put it in the description of this video. You'll need to have your recent medical test report. This report will be done again during the process of getting your Emirates ID and the visa approved, but you need to have proof that you've done the check. It just saves you to know if your health is clean for the residence or not. If you're going to be sponsored by someone, then you'll need to have a copy of the Emirates ID of that sponsor and also a passport copy. But since now the visa is going to move from a sticker, then the Emirates ID of the sponsor will be enough. It will have all the information required to know if their residence is valid and for how long it is valid. In many cases, you also need to apply for a health plan, a UAE health plan, but that is also part of the process for the residence visa. If you're going to be on a company sponsorship, then the company will have to present their trade license and your contract, your employment contract. If it's a family sponsorship, then you have to show proof of your relationship in the family. If you're married, then you have to show the marriage certificate. If you're a child, then you have to show your birth certificate that shows your parent as your sponsor. So whatever it is, if you're a maid and going to be sponsored by your boss, then the contract for your job will be the required document to show that relationship. Next, let's look at how to apply for a resident visa in United Arab Emirates. The first thing is to get an entry permit. Either it's your sponsor doing it for you or you're doing it for your own. You'll have to get a visit visa to enter the United Arab Emirates or an employment visa if it's a sponsor who is going to sponsor your residence. You can get this through any travel agent, or you can go to the website of the Federal Authority for Identity and Citizenship, or you can go through other government agents like Amar for Dubai. Amar in Dubai will help you for any kind of visa, be it a visit visa or application for resident visa. There's also an app for the Federal Authority of Identity and Citizenship where you can just go to it, download it, put in your phone, and then once you log in, you can apply for this entry permit. You could also do this on your own if you go online and log on to the website for the General Directorate for Residence and Foreign Affairs, the GDRFA. But in most cases, you'll have to go through one of the typing centers in Dubai or in UAE or in any of the Emirates and get the documents translated for you in Arabic. But still, either way, if you're doing it for yourself, you may need to go to a typing center or Amar and get this done for you, because there are some papers that have to be arranged, and it's better to get the experts who are doing it every day to do it for you easily. Once you get the entry permit, that is the visit visa or employment visa from your sponsor, now you can start application for the resident visa. If you qualify and you can do it for yourself, you're going to be self-sponsored, then you'll have to pay the charges or the costs for the visa. But if you have a sponsor, then these charges or these costs have to be paid by the sponsor. Let's look at the cost of the residence visa. Now, these figures may change, so do not rely on them 100%, but this is just a guide. For more information, you can log on to the ICA website, you can log on to the GDRFA website, or you can consult an expert in this field. This is just information as a guide. Just know that the prices will be within this range, but they could differ, maybe slightly higher or lower. This is just a guide. The visit visa to United Arab Emirates, if it's a 30 days visa, can cost you between 250 to 300 dirhams. This varies sometimes up and down. And if you get it through an agent, they may put their markup, so the price will change, will be different. If you want 90 days, it will be between 600 to 700 dirhams. But the agent will put their markup for their services if you're using an agent, and it will go up to maybe 1,000, 1,400, like that. If you want a 90 days entry permit or visit visa, it will cost you between 700 dirhams to 900 dirhams. If you're going through an agent, there'll be a markup to cover for their services. So you'll find it at maybe 1,200 to 1,500 depending on the agent and their pricing. Now, for someone to apply for this resident visa, they have to pay a security deposit. This is refunded once your visa expires and you leave in the country. If you decide that you live in the country for good, then the security deposit is refunded. It's about 3,000 dirhams, but it could be more or less per individual. The resident visa for 1, 2, or 3 years also varies in the charges. it could range between 1,000 to 2,000. So depending on the length or the period, is it 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? So plan between 1,000 and 2,000. The Emirates ID, maybe this will change, but at the moment, for 1 year will cost you about 250 dirhams, 2 years about 350 dirhams, and 4 years about 400 dirhams. But these prices will change, so don't rely on this 100%. They could be higher or lower. Medical tests will cost you about 370 dirhams, and medical insurance between 400 and above, about 400 and above. For more accurate information, if you want the very up-to-date information, I suggest you visit any MR center in Dubai. They'll give you the latest information, most updated information, and they can guide you through this process. This is just a general guide for you to have some information on the process, procedures, and requirements. But if you need any concrete information and want to start on the process, I suggest you visit any MR center or you contact a tour company that is doing this every day. Thank you so much for listening to me. That's all for this video. However, if you're here for the first time, I suggest you subscribe, click the notification bell so that every time I have a new video, you'll be the first to know, and then like the videos. And if you have any other questions, you have any clarification you need, please leave your comment in the comment box. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.